So, that was my time segment. So, everyone here is intuitive. I hope you know that. The difference between me or anyone else in this room is that I work with it all the time. So your intuition is talking to you all the time as well, too. You know, my favorite quote on intuition is Einstein, because he said that intuition is a sacred gift and the mind is a faithful servant. And we live in a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Because Einstein knew everybody's intuitive. It's just your birthright. What happens is, though, we grow up and we get older and we cover it with, it's not logical, it's just coincidence, and all the other ways that the world convinces you that you're not an intuitive being. But I'm telling you, you're all intuitive, and it's time for you to really claim it. And if you know it and you're claiming it, it's time for you to use it even more. So let me tell you about the different ways that your intuition speaks to you. And when I'm describing this, I want you to listen for yourself, because to recognize yourself. Because I promise you, you're using one for sure, probably two. You have all four styles, but we all have, just like some people are left-handed or some people are visual learners, we all have a predisposition. So there's four different kinds of intuition. We'll start with clairvoyant, right? This is the one that gets all the press. This is clear seeing. This is what happens. We all think of clairvoyance as medium, right? People who see full-blown visions of the dead. That's one way to be clairvoyant, but there's a lot more. You're clairvoyant if you're somebody who has dreams that come true. You're clairvoyant if you're somebody who has visions. You're clairvoyant if you're somebody who sort of always seems to see sparkles of energy just like on the outside of your field, or you're always catching something in the corner of your eye and you're thinking, what is that? And you look at it and it's not there. It's so frustrating. So there are many different, if you're someone who's a very visual learner, you're probably a clairvoyant. My favorite clairvoyant story is one of my own, and I was 16 years old and I dreamt I met Paul McCartney. Who was 16 and didn't want to meet Paul McCartney, and he asked me for a date. So the very next day, I lived in Manhattan. I was going into Central Park with the boy I was seeing. And I was all excited. I said, so guess what? I dreamt I met Paul McCartney. He asked me out for a date. And he said, and you went? I'm like, no, who wouldn't go on a date with Paul McCartney? So he had a little jealous moment there. Thought it was the craziest thing I'd ever heard. We go to Central Park Zoo, we're having fun, we sit down, we finish the zoo, we're just sort of sitting down, there's a big lake in Central Park, we're sitting at a bench. And my friend says, there's a couple coming towards us, oh look, there's Paul McCartney. Well, I was like, yeah, say hi for me. And they sat down. He's like, no, really, that's Paul McCartney. I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to be subtle, so I'll walk over to the lake and just suddenly turn around and, oh my God, it was totally Paul McCartney. So I ran over to him. I made a total idiot of myself. I babbled like anyone does who's starstruck. I got his autograph. He didn't ask me for a date. But I realized, that was the first time I really realized I was clairvoyant. It's like, oh my God, I had a dream I met this guy. So, you really want to start to, if you're somebody who remembers your dreams, really start to pay attention. Because sometimes you might have a clairvoyant dream that isn't as clear as you dream you meet Paul McCartney and you meet him, but you might have a clairvoyant dream where you see symbols and then you are able to interpret that is what something's going to happen to you, like perhaps a tornado happens and your life is an upheaval. Or perhaps you have a dream of someone who's passed on and you know they're passed in a dream. That's a very common clairvoyant experience. Okay, clear seeing. Clairaudient, clear hearing. This is where you hear voices that don't need medication. So when you're clairvoyant, you tend to have a musical ear. You might be somebody who hears a voice just inside or outside your head, giving you instructions. You might hear music or songs in your head, and when you start to tune into them, you think, oh my gosh, this song is actually guidance. I was talking to a woman about this, and she was telling me that she was involved in this relationship with this man, and she didn't know what to do about it. And I said, oh, and she said, and you know that song, I Don't Know How to Love Him, it keeps going on in my head. That's clairaudient. There you go, you're hearing songs. You might get your messages from hearing the words of other people. You might hear your messages by a random comment from a total stranger. You might be someone who gets in your car, turns on the radio, and there's a song right there that's exactly what you need to hear. So clairaudient. Clairsentient, this is one I promise you, every single person in this room is definitely clairsentient. And this is clear feeling. This is that very physical one. This is where you get goosebumps. This is where you get the gut feeling. This is where you get butterflies. This is where like the hair stands up in the back of your neck. When you are clairsentient, you have a very, very physical reaction. And that's how you receive your intuitive information. And if you're a healer, helper, anyone in this room, I promise you, people who are compassionate, people who work with energy, people who have a desire to help other people, very, very clairsentient, because they sense other people's pain. And that's a real challenge when you're clairsentient, because most people are clairsentient or something I call empathic, which means you're very sensitive to the feelings of others. Well, when you manage your own energy field, it's fine. But what tends to happen for most people is you actually pick up the feelings of other people. So here's a good test to see if you're clairsentient, if you're empathic. You ever had this experience? You go into a room full of people, you go to a party, a meeting, whatever. You're in a great space. You're feeling happy, confident, and you're in this meeting about 10 minutes when you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm so depressed. Or, oh my God, I'm so angry. That's a clue that you're empathic. You're picking up on feelings of other people. Nothing happened to you to shift your energy. You just suddenly started feeling these feelings. Because that's what happens when you're empathic. You need to learn to separate your feelings from other people's feelings. And we're going to do an energy building exercise with your aura that's going to help you with that. What it will do is it will give you that breath, that space to ask the question, wait a minute, is this my feeling or is it hers? You know, if you're someone who, this used to happen to my mom, if somebody would tell them about a physical problem she would have, she would start to have pain somewhere. So, you know, this could be a real problem for you. So you really want to be able to manage. It's great to be able to feel people's feelings, read them, but you don't want to experience them, right? You want to keep your own energy field separately. And finally, the last one is claircognitive. This is clear knowing. This is where you just know something. This is one of the hardest forms of intuition for people to accept. Because it comes out of nowhere and it's like, no way is this intuition. It's coincidence, it's something else. Because you're just like, I knew you were going to say that. Or, I knew you were going to turn just then. You just know it. You don't know how you know. Boom, there it is. But this is the kind of intuition where you get inspiration, insights, revelations, where you look at a problem, you've been looking at it for days, and suddenly you're like, I know the answer. Right? It's divine inspiration, claircognizance. So that claircognizance comes out of your 7th chakra, right? Clairvoyance comes out of the 3rd eye and the 6th chakra. And clairsentient, clear feeling, comes out of the 3rd, the gut. And clairaudient comes out of the chakras at your ears, because you actually have chakras in your ears and your hands and your feet as well. Just so you understand. And if you think about what kind of learner you are, if you're an auditory learner or a visual learner or a kinesthetic learner, this will give you some clues as to your strongest intuitive type. And also think about the language that you use, right? Are you one of these people who says, I don't like what I'm seeing here, right? Or, I don't like what I'm hearing. Or, this place feels, I'm not sure I like the way this place feels. Or, I just know that this is going to be something so great. So listen to your language. It will give you clues for what your strongest intuitive type is. Because you're getting energetic messages all day long, I promise you. We just learned to tune them out. Because it really is about making the decision every day to be intuitive and then finding a way to center and clear yourself so that you're open to it.